The Thai champion's eyes shifted at some point between the third and fourth second of that fight. 500 people saw it happen. 500 people would later be able to describe it in interviews, books, and bar conversations for the next 30 years, the exact moment this man, 2,003 meters tall, 142 kilograms and undefeated in 71 professional bouts, realized he was going to lose. It wasn't because of a blow that reached him, the strike came later, but because of what he saw in the eyes of the 64-kilogram Chinese man standing before him. Something he had never seen before in 14 years of Muay Thai. Something that should not have existed in a person he had just promised to destroy before 500 witnesses in an official ring under the yellow lights of Thailand's most sacred gymnasium. It was March 14, 1972. There were 500 pairs of eyes, and in the next 5 seconds they all bore witness to the greatest sporting humiliation in the history of Thai Muay Thai. No violence, no blood, no knockout, only a demonstration so cold, so controlled, and so silent that the national champion would never again be the man who walked into that ring. The champion's name was Anuvacharonkul. He was 28 years old. He held the heavyweight belt of Lumpini Stadium, considered the temple of world Muay Thai. But in the betting circles and sports newspapers of Thailand, no one called him by his name. Anuvat was known as Yak. In Thai Buddhist mythology, a yak is a giant that guards sacred temples, 5-meter-tall statues with protruding fangs, red eyes, blue skin, and stone clubs, demon protectors. That was the nickname Anuvat earned at 19 in his 5th professional fight, when with a single elbow strike he simultaneously broke his opponent's jaw and left humerus. By 28, Yak had a record of 71 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws. 63 of those victories ended in knockouts, 44 opponents left the ring on stretchers, and 11 were left permanently disabled. Yak was not just a fighter, Yak was an industry. Yak was the most profitable product of Thai Muay Thai since Apade Sithirun in the 50s, and Yak had an old, deep-seated problem with the Chinese. This problem dated back to his childhood. Yak grew up in the outskirts of Chiang Rai, near the Burmese border, in a region economically controlled by the Chinese moneylenders of the Golden Triangle. His father had hanged himself in a rice granary when Anuvat was 11 after losing the family home to a Chinese debt collector. Anuvat carried that hatred into the ring. In his 14-year career, he had refused fights against Chinese opponents 3 times, claiming they were beneath his level. But Bruce Lee, who was sitting in the 4th row of Lumpini Stadium that March night in 1972, unrecognized by anyone, was about to change that order, though not in the way he imagined. Bruce was 31. He had just finished filming Way of the Dragon in Rome. 2 weeks prior, he had returned to Hong Kong and accepted a strange invitation from a producer friend to talk to Thai investors about a possible co-production. The meetings in Bangkok went well, too well. On his 4th night in the city, the producer suggested Bruce watch a demonstration at Lumpini. Bruce agreed. He arrived as a spectator, an observer, a man who respected Thai tradition and wanted to learn. He sat in the 4th row next to an interpreter, wearing a simple black polo shirt and dark trousers, trying not to draw attention. He was there to study technique. The universe, however, had other plans. It happened during the break between 2 preliminary bouts. Yak was not fighting that night, he was merely an honorary host, sitting at ringside in a chair reserved for the national champion. But a sports journalist from Hong Kong accompanying Bruce mentioned who was sitting in the 4th row. The information spread like a whisper through the stands. In less than 5 minutes, the entire stadium knew that Bruce Lee, the new star of Asian action cinema, was there. Yak heard it. Yak stood up, approached the commentator's microphone in the center of the ring, and began a public humiliation he could never have imagined. He spoke in Thai, his voice amplified for the 500 spectators. "There is a Chinese man here tonight. A Chinese man who makes money by pretending to fight in movies. A Chinese man who sells the world the idea that he knows how to fight. I don't believe in the Chinese. I don't believe in movies. I believe in the ring." He paused, looked straight at the 4th row, and pointed, "Get up here, actor. Get up here right now and show your movie Kung Fu against real Muay Thai. I'll give you 5 seconds in the ring. If you stay on your feet for 5 seconds, I will pay all your expenses in Bangkok. If you don't come up, everyone here will know that Kung Fu is just a Chinese lie." A whispered translation reached Bruce's ear. He smiled slightly and replied to the interpreter in English, who related in Thai. "Mr. Lee says he did not come to fight, but to learn." The crowd began to boo. Yak laughed into the microphone. "Learn? Then learn the first rule of Muay Thai: whoever refuses to enter the ring is not a man." Bruce remained seated. Yak realized that standard insults were not working, and that was when he made the irreversible mistake. He brought up Bruce's father. He said that Li Hoi Chun, the late Cantonese opera actor, had died knowing his son was nothing but a circus clown, and that his father would be ashamed at that very moment. At that exact instant, Bruce Lee, without saying a word, stood up. He climbed the 3 steps to the ring, took off his sneakers, took off his watch. He didn't take off his polo, he didn't warm up, and stood in the center of the ring barefoot. His arms were relaxed at his sides, looking the giant straight in the eyes. The Thai referee panicked. There were no agreed-upon gloves, no signed rules, no doctor prepared for Bruce Lee, but Yak gave the referee a categorical gesture to step aside. 5 seconds, Yak repeated into the microphone, now addressing the 500 witnesses. "If he stays on his feet for 5 seconds, I pay for everything." The referee left the ring, the gong sounded, and the time began. The first second, Yak moved forward with a low shin kick, the same strike that had broken 31 femurs in his career. The kick was aimed at Bruce's perineal nerve to drop him in the first 2 seconds. But Bruce was not where Yak expected him to be. Bruce slid a half step to the left at the exact moment of the strike, and the Thai's shin cut through nothing but air. For the first time in 71 fights, Yak missed his opening strike. The second, Yak, surprised, recovered his stance with the speed he had trained for 14 years and launched an upward elbow strike. The same strike that had broken 17 jaws. It came with full force, aiming for Bruce's chin. But Bruce had already read the entire sequence before it began. The moment the Thai's elbow rose, Bruce tilted his torso 30 degrees backward, and the elbow passed, barely grazing the skin of his chin. Yak was left exposed for a moment. His right side was wide open, his collarbone unprotected, his neck undefended. The third second, this is where what happened, no one really saw. Bruce did not attack the open side, the collarbone, or the exposed neck. Bruce attacked the giant's supporting knee. A short lateral strike with the sole of his foot to the joint. It was not a strike to destroy, it was a strike to inform. Yak's knee did not break, but he felt the joint give way for a split second. For the first time in 14 years of Muay Thai, Yak felt that his balance depended on another person's permission. That was the moment his eyes changed. The fourth second, Yak tried to recover his stance, raising both hands in a high Thai guard, preparing another elbow strike, but Bruce was already inside his defense, closer than any opponent had gotten in 71 fights. With no punches, no kicks, just his right palm resting firmly on the giant's sternum, he didn't push, he didn't strike, he just touched him and looked Yak straight in the eyes. Yak realized in that moment what was happening. Bruce could have struck 3 vital points in the last 2 seconds. Bruce chose to strike none. Bruce was demonstrating before 500 witnesses that he possessed absolute control over the life of this 142-kilogram man. He wasn't fighting, he was teaching. The 5th second, Bruce removed his hand from Yak's chest, stepped back half a step, slightly bowed his head in a sign of formal Thai respect, and spoke for the first time that night in English. In a voice so quiet that only Yak heard, 5 seconds. "I survived. You owe me." The gong sounded. The stadium erupted. Yak remained standing in the center of the ring. 500 people were screaming. 500 people had just seen their invincible national champion not even get touched by a man 78 kilograms lighter, not get knocked out. He was simply allowed to live. That was what Yak understood in those 5 seconds, not that he had lost, but that this Chinese man, in 3 clear and visible moments, had chosen not to destroy him. And that choice was worse than any knockout. It meant that in the perception of this lesser man, Yak was not worth the effort of a real strike. He had been treated like a student, not a rival. And in Muay Thai, in the deep code of Thailand, being forgiven in the ring is the only thing a national champion cannot accept. Yak sank to his knees in the center of the ring, not from physical pain. There was no physical pain. He fell because his legs refused to hold him. 500 witnesses saw the giant from Chiang Rai rest his forehead on the floor of the ring in the direction of the corner where Bruce Lee was tying his shoelaces. It was a spontaneous gesture. No one asked for it. It was the only thing Yak's body could do at that moment. Bruce Lee saw, walked over to Yak, held out his hand and helped the giant up without saying a word. He left the ring, took his watch, took his jacket, and exited Lumpini Stadium through a side door before the Thai press could catch up with him. The authorities buried the story in less than a week. Muay Thai was a national treasure. Yak was a state investment. The official version published in the newspapers spoke of a friendly demonstration without an announced winner. But 500 pairs of eyes saw the truth. And in the following months, the story began to spread in the martial arts underground of Hong Kong, Singapore, Manila, and Tokyo. Yak returned to the ring 3 months later against a weak opponent and won without brilliance. He returned 6 months later against a Japanese fighter and, for the first time in his life, won on points. In January 1973, he lost. His first defeat in 14 years. He lost to an unknown Burmese fighter. He retired in June 1973 at 29. The following month, in July 1973, Bruce Lee died in Hong Kong. Yak learned about it from a friend in Bangkok, locked himself in his home for 3 weeks, and refused to speak publicly about Bruce Lee for the rest of his life. In 2003, at age 59, he gave a single statement to a Canadian journalist who had been searching for the story for years. He only said this: "I trained for 14 years to believe that I was the most dangerous man in Thailand. Bruce Lee taught me in 5 seconds that I wasn't even the most dangerous man in the 4th row." He died in 2011 from respiratory complications in a small village near Chiang Rai. He was buried without military honors and without a Muay Thai ceremony by his own choice. The referee of that night, a gentleman by the name of Prasitan Tantipanichkul, lived until 2019. In the last years of his life, he usually said that he learned something that day, March 14, 1972, that 40 years of Muay Thai had not taught him, that size is a promise, not a guarantee. That a man weighing 142 kilograms can train his body for destruction his whole life and still encounter at any random moment of existence someone weighing 64 kilograms who has trained his body to choose not to destroy. And that the difference between destruction and the choice not to destroy is what separates a fighter from a master. Yak was a fighter. He was the best fighter Thailand produced in decades. But Bruce Lee was something else. He was a man who in 5 seconds managed to show 500 witnesses that true power is not in how much you can break. It is in how much you can leave whole, when no one would have known if you had destroyed it. 5 seconds. That's all it took. For the rest of Yak's life, for the memory of Lumpini, and for the story that the Thais still whisper when someone asks why the strongest man in Bangkok in 1972 chose to disappear from his own legend.